Welcome back, everybody. This is Modern with Randy. I am Randy. Today I'm talking about Zoo, Domain Zoo, Tribal Zoo, however you want to say this, essentially, is the deck we're talking about today. As always, guys, if you like what you're seeing, you like what I'm offering, go ahead and give a like on the video, subscribe to the channel to keep up with everything that I'm doing. Now that's out of the way, let's get to this deck. So, Domain Zoo is a deck that has kind of was a big forefront and with Modern Horizons 2 and such when we had Leyline get packed, Leyline the Guild Pact get printed, and kind of taken off from there. And then since MH3 has really died down or kind of been on the back burner, no one's really thought about it, no one's really said too much about it. So quickly just going over the list, we're playing 12 fetch lands along with a, Breeding Pool, Overgrown Tomb, Sacred Foundry, Steam Vents, Temple Garden is our shock lands, Svi Triome here as our one of land to get, or our one Triome we're playing, basic plains, basic forest, Six-Shot Combat, Blood Moon, and then Hedge Mage as our Savannah land of choice. Then, we're playing Ragavan and Wild Mikado as our one drops. Essentially, Ragavan still one of the best, most aggressive one drops you can be playing. Same thing with Wild Mikado, it's essentially a 3/3 for 1. Playing 4 Territory Kavu, it's a 5/5 for 2 that lets you discard extra lands, draw a card, or any card in your hand really, but essentially you get to discard the extra lands, extra guild packs you draw, things like that. Turn them into hopefully real cards, and then also a little bit of graveyard hate. Then we're playing 2 Brawlers because it's a 5/3 with trample, essentially, with domain. And then 2 Ajani, which is kind of the newest card to enter into this deck. And if you notice, we're kind of playing a little bit more. It goes well with like a little cat tribe sub theme we have here. Where we have Brawler's a cat, Wild Mikado's a cat. So Ajani with its flip, once you flip Ajani, excuse me, you can put +1/+1 counter on each cat you control, which is decent. You have enough little cats here. But the biggest thing is the minus, or not minus, I guess, but 0 ability here, where you make a 2/1 cat, and then if you control another red permit, you can deal damage equal to the number of creatures you control to any target. So it gives you an extra burst damage with this deck. So we already have Lightning Bolt, Tribal Flames. Now this is another piece of burst damage. And then with Leyline and the Guild Pack, it makes all of our non-land permanents essentially all colors, so it's very easy for us to have a red permanent. Plus we're playing 8 right here between Ragavan and Kavu, so it's not too crazy to have a red permanent for that. And then, like I said, we're playing Lightning Bolt, and Tribal Flames here is kind of this burst damage as well as to clear the way for anything we might have to worry about blocking. 3 Stubborn Denial, kind of with our choice over Counterspell, because a lot of our creatures are going to be that 4 power or greater. We have Brawler, Kavu, and then Scion of Draco as kind of our creatures that are all going to be power 4 or greater almost all the time. And then, like I said, we're playing Leyline of the Guild Pack. This is a card that kind of really made Zoo viable, or Domain Zoo viable. Deck was always playable. It wasn't the best, but it was always kind of playable. But this is just turn 1 we have all 5 colors, so it just turns on all of our spells, all of our creatures. You can say spells as well. It turns on Leyline Binding as well. Turn 1, so it's very good to have. And of course, obviously, we're going to be playing the Draco because the 4/4 flying, and then makes all the other creatures have ridiculously good abilities. Especially if we have the Leyline out, it brings things to have Hexproof, Lifelink, First Strike, Trample, and Vigilance. So just huge. And then of course Leyline Binding, because we're already playing Domain. The Domain colors, we're playing 5 colors, so might as well have the best removal spell essentially that we can have. So this deck has kind of fallen off. Boros Energies kind of becomes a de facto mid-range aggro deck, if you will. I do think that Domain Zoo is still very powerful. I think it's very strong. Obviously, it's still putting up some numbers here and there. Obviously, something to think about if you're looking at your RCQs, what to play, what not to play, what you think you might see here. Relatively, this deck is very cheap to build. So Ragavans are down in price right now. Johnnies are probably one of the most expensive cards in here. Obviously, the land base is expensive, but anytime I talk about like price wise for modern, I'm assuming that most people have the land base already. Just based off if you're playing in modern, a lot of people have been playing for a little bit. They built up a land base type thing. Going through the sideboard here though, real quick, we are a Jegantha deck because why not? essentially. So we are a Jegantha deck. We're also playing 3 Cosine to Memory, along with 1 Alpine Moon. Definitely here for the big mana decks, here for the Tron, the Eldrazi, things like that. We need to stop them, put them in their place. We have 2 Harsh Mentor, clearly for the Nadia matchup, and only for the Nadia matchup, basically. We have Rest in Peace and Pick Your Poison here for the Graveyard decks, as well as the Reanimator decks. Pick Your Poison, make some sacrifice creature flying. It's also a good catch-all for artifact removal, things like that. Rest in Peace, obviously very good against the Cascade deck running around, against Reanimator, things like that. Celestial Purge here to help fight through Blood Moons. That's why we have the 1 Plains. Same thing with just, getting Flage off the field, things like that. Sun Cleanser here for any of the energy decks, whether it's Jeskai energy or, of course, the Boros or Mardu energy. And then we have Teferi, just as kind of another good catch-all. Good against the control deck, shutting off their counter spells, things like that. Just also -3 lets you bounce pretty much anything you need to hopefully kind of like solidify your positioning. Overall, though, I mean, deck hasn't really changed too much. The biggest, inclusion or new thing to the deck is, Ajani Nacatl. That's kind of the biggest thing, but outside of that, the deck hasn't changed much. We're still running Ragavans, we're still running Kavus, Brawlers, Wild Nacatls, Bolts, Tribal Flames. Nothing's really changed so much in the deck. It's gotten a new piece of tool. That being said, there's a couple of different variants that you'll see of the Zoo running around. There is a Countercat Zoo running around as well that I'll probably do a video on later, but they're playing, full set of Wild Nacatl, full Brawler, full Ajani, and then with Stubborn Isle, kind of like being more in on the cat theme, if you will, for its +2 ability. But this is a deck that you can definitely see breaking out into the RCQ season. Something you should be aware of. Like I said, it's not super popular, but your local meta is always going to be different than what the traditional meta is. So look out for it. Not a bad deck to take as well. Pretty cheap overall to build. If you're looking to try to get into the RCQ season and get that invite as well. But as always, guys, if you like what you're seeing, you like what I'm doing, go ahead and leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel to keep up with everything that I'm doing, and let me know what you guys are going to be taking to the RCQ season, what you think you're going to be seeing. I'd love to hear from you guys. I will catch you guys next time.